So, folks, we have to talk about the truth behind our elections. What's happening? Where is all the voter fraud? Clearly, something must be wrong within our voting system because every single time the Democrats keep pulling out victories after days upon days beyond our election day. What gives? Why can't we have instant answers now? We live in the age of the information superhighway. We put a man on the moon, and then we put multiple men on the moon. And yet, it still takes days to count votes. What's up with that? Because I saw that Spencer Pratt was doing really good in the LA mayoral election, and then suddenly I wake up to this. Democrat secures second LA mayor spot and ends Spencer Pratt's run? WTF. How? When I looked at the votes the other day, the Democrat was losing. I should correct myself. The Democrat was losing. That's right. And now this Nithya Raman, who even knows who she is? If she is even the pronouns.
Fucking pronouns!
We're in LA, in Newsom's, California. So who could say? This bit has gone on too long. So Nithya Raman won, beat out Spencer Pratt for the second spot in the LA mayor's race, and that's really awesome because she's going up against Karen Bass, who is, I would consider, not particularly beloved in LA. She has her supporters, of course, but the race narrowing down to, do you want a progressive who will fight for you, the working people, or do you want the same mayor who's kind of been fucking up a lot and people don't really like? This is actually a great matchup if you support more progressive policies emerging victorious. Like, this is the best case scenario. And like, Nithya Raman is also like a dyed-in-the-wool progressive. Like, she's been organizing on the local level in LA for quite some time. And she has, made a lot of enemies among the establishment Democrats by doing so, right? There was a famous leak of various text messages and exchanges between various members of the city council, I believe, in LA, discussing how they were going to destroy her because she wasn't endorsing different members on the council who were more establishment. This is from a couple years ago, and she has persevered, and now she is on the ballot and looks like she might have a decent shot at taking down Karen Bass. And I think that that's really, really cool and good. But I think we do need to talk about the fact that aside from that really interesting matchup, we have a lot of Republicans who are now completely and utterly crashing out over a phenomenon that's been pretty well documented over like the last 20 some years, 25 years, quarter of a century, called the red mirage. Now, what is the red mirage? All right. The red mirage is the phenomenon where most of the time, in most races, not every race, but as a general rule of thumb, conservatives turn up on election day to vote. However, that tends to mean that people who vote by mail tend to be disproportionately Democrat. This also means that when you're talking about the people who show up on the day of, there are a lot of votes to go through, and then there are a lot of votes that come in after the election because they're postmarked by election day, which means they have like 7 days to get to where they're going and can still be counted for an election. And so what winds up happening is that where is it easiest to count votes? In rural areas where there are fewer voters. So it takes less time to count all the votes. And so what winds up happening is you have a lot of conservative votes that are counted up relatively quickly. And then you have dense, high population areas where it takes time to count and verify the vote tally, right? And then you have the votes that come in by mail. And those high population areas are very disproportionately blue because we're talking about cities with populations in the millions in some cases. And that in turn means it takes a while to count those. And so there are times, and I'm sure many of you will remember this if you've been paying attention to politics and paid attention on like every general election night ever. Typically, when voters are about to go to bed for the night, that's when Republicans are looking the strongest in their elections, in their races, because they've already received the initial spurt of Republican votes. And then it slows down after that by quite a bit because the disproportionately Democrat populations in cities and in vote by mail ballots continue to come in. So this is what is called the red mirage. This idea that, when I went to bed, the Republican was winning, but when I wake up, suddenly there are more votes that have been counted and the Republican didn't win. And when I put it like that, it should seem relatively easy to wrap your head around what's happening. However, critical thinking is not a huge strong suit among the Republican commentariat. And for that, I wanna turn you guys to a highlight of a couple of different conservative content creators. Yeah, also, Land Doesn't Vote is actually a really good example of this too, because Republicans will take a look at a map and say, oh, look at how red this map is. How could it be that Democrats win any of it? I want to show you guys. We're not going to watch the entire thing because it's 2.5 hours. But this is genuinely, genuinely really great from the Mehdi Hassan, Patrick Bet-David appearance. Here is the Mehdi Hassan appearance where Patrick Bet-David tries to pull that exact same thing with Mehdi Hassan.
Keep going. Stop. So the former president's margin of victory over Harris is a minuscule 1.6 percentage point. Actually, it's 1.5. It went down after that. Smaller than that of every winning president since 1888, other than JFK and Richard Nixon. In fact, in the 55 presidential elections in which the popular vote winner became president, listen to this. Oh, your viewers are getting some good facts today. 49 of those 55 elections were won with a margin bigger than Donald Trump's in 2024. I hope the president is watching your show. I know he's a friend of his. He's coming on the show.
Can you do me a favor?
Donald Trump, you lost.
Can you show
you won with a
how many
49th
counties?
Who gives a fuck about counties?
Won.
I'm showing you the margin of victory.
Dude, Mehdi.
He won by 1.5. You can raise your voice, but I've already done my receipts.
If there's anybody that has no room to say anything, look at this here.
My receipts are up.
Look at this here. You
Patrick,
run away.
I love this
here.
You know, Land doesn't vote.
He converted Muslims into Republicans.
Patrick, you know, Land doesn't.
Dude,
I love these. I love these maps. That's Land.
You showed us that.
Land doesn't vote.
Dude,
I gave you the numbers.
Voted for him.
I love Patrick Bet-David because he's truly like an all-American, like just an all-American guy. You know, he's like the quintessential MAGA voter. Like, he threw this up and thought it was a good argument after Mehdi Hassan was already breaking down vote percentages. Mehdi was throwing haymakers at Patrick. Patrick like shat himself in confusion here, and he doesn't even realize it. It's like that scene from Kung Pao, Enter the Fist. We trained him wrong as a joke. Your fist to my nuts style. How do you like it? That's Patrick Bet-David in a nutshell. And I just think it's very, very funny how this interaction evolved. And we unfortunately do not have the time to watch that entire thing, but if you do have like a spare 2.5 hours, I do highly recommend watching Mehdi Hassan, top of his game, just wailing on Patrick Bet-David for 2.5 hours. It did make me feel bad, because there is a part of it that feels ableist, like watching an actual adult get into like a street fight with like a 10-year-old child. But like, that is, you know, like, don't square up. No, Patrick, no. Go home and have a piece of pie. Stop it, Patrick, stop it. I was thoroughly value-tained, I do have to say. Now, let's turn to the Republicans who are reacting to a lot of this. Here's Meghan McCain. For whatever it's worth, people in my life who have never spoken about stolen elections in any capacity are now saying this about California because of the LA mayoral race. I live in California and can tell you not a single person I talk to even knows who Rahman is. They know Karen Bass let Los Angeles burn while partying in Ghana, and they know Spencer Pratt is the wrecking ball to disrupt the machine. No one knows who Rahman is. Why, 4 days later, is she getting the lion's share of counted votes? I try not to get political, but LA is where I live, and I'm here to tell you, there is 0.0% chance that these results are legit. Nithya Rahman has no base. No one knew who she was until Spencer Pratt torched her on debate stage. She gave a concession speech on Tuesday. I honestly don't know how Nithya Rahman can accept this with any integrity. Nobody knew who she was. Nobody cared for her failed policies. She was in dead third on election, in tears, accepting her fate, and suddenly, magic ballot drops. Days later, swift her fate. Swift her fate. Yeah, it's almost like working people really like somebody who's going to go to bat for them. But it gets worse, because it's not just like Republican commentators, right? It's not just Republican commentators. It's also the fucking Speaker of the House.
I'm not saying it's rigged. I'm saying it stinks to high heaven, and everybody knows that. Let's remove the appearance of impropriety. Let's have what a concept. Let's have votes on an election the day of the election. That's what many states are able to do. I think California is playing around with this.
But what evidence is there to prove that there was rigged?
Look, some of these efforts are so diabolical and so far upstream it is impossible to prove. But I think everybody knows instinctively something is wrong here. And that's a concern. We need people to believe in the integrity of our election system. I
love it. I love that the Speaker of the House is claiming that elections are being rigged, and then when asked directly, point blank, what evidence do you have of that? He's just like, I don't know, man, just vibes. It's just vibes, I tell you, vibes. Have you not noticed the evil portents? The evil vibes that have shifted? Clearly the vibes indicate that treachery is afoot. We are now in the era where, like, we're fear-mongering and stirring up witch hunts on vibes.
Hey Mike, what asterisk did you and your son view this week?
Honestly, we need to get more left-wing trolls into the press pool, you know? We need to get more left-wingers asking disrespectful questions of people in power. Because, like, honestly, we need people asking J.D. Vance about him fucking couches. We need people asking Mike Johnson about the weird relationship he has with his adopted son, and the weird relationship he has with his non-adopted son, where they are porn accountability buddies with each other. It's really, really weird what's going on there, and more people should be asking him about it instead of, like, deferring to him as if he's, like, some kind of expert who gives a fuck about truth, right? Because, like, he I gotta play this again.
But what evidence is there to prove that there was raid?
Look, some of these efforts are so diabolical and so far upstream it is impossible to prove.
Some of these efforts to rig the election are just so evil, they're impossible to prove. Like, just break that down for a goddamn second. It's just too evil to prove? Like, imagine going into court as a prosecutor and your position is just, I'm sorry, Your Honor, this murder, it was just too evil to prove. Like, that, what are you talking about? What are you talking, that would never fly in court for a goddamn second. Why should the American public be asked to accept that? It's truly absurd. It's truly, truly absurd. And, I just want to, like, round it out with taking a look here at one of the biggest crybabies of all time. And, of course, I'm talking about Michael Knowles. Let's take a look here.
On Election Day.
God, he's so grating.
In Los Angeles, here are the results. It was changing a little bit, and obviously it was a live situation, so we don't have perfect numbers on it, but Karen Bass had anywhere from 35 to 38% of the vote. So she was going to win, as I predicted, even though everyone who thinks that Twitter is real life
totally played gay in a student film. I still can't get over the fact that, like, have you guys seen, like, his opening? Like, his opening dance?
Michael Knowles is the Michael Knowles Show.
This is, every episode opens like this. He's truly a Renaissance man.
On Election Day in Los Angeles, here are the results. It was changing a little bit, and obviously it was a live situation, so we don't have perfect numbers on it, but Karen Bass had anywhere from 35 to 38% of the vote. So she was going to win, as I predicted, even though everyone who thinks that Twitter is real life.
What the fuck, really? Yeah, every single episode opens like that, and I swear to God, I feel like I remember there being a longer cut of it. I think this is edited down from what it originally was.
Totally, obviously there's a relationship between Twitter and real life, but everyone who thinks that Twitter is really representative of real life, they thought Spencer Pratt was going to win in LA. And I told you all, as I've told you with all of the meta-political phenomena that occur on the right, on the left, but that occur on social media, I said this is not indicative of real life. I was right. Karen Bass had about 35 to 38% of the vote.
What's crazy is that Michael Knowles would be like, Twitter isn't reality. And meanwhile, will then also be like, everyone on Twitter hates trans people or some shit like that. And like, his entire audience just claps like seals, you know?
Spencer Pratt had 28 to 30% of the vote. Okay, so he comes in number 2. And Nydia Raman, the socialist, had 20 to 23% of the vote. That was on Election Day. But you know, it takes a lot of days to count all those ballots, doesn't it?
You as a weirdo. Referencing the opening to The Cosby Show.
Oh, wait, does it really? I don't remember the opening of The Cosby Show. Oh, no, you're absolutely right. Yep, I see it. I see it. It's just them dancing.
We used to say that about banana republics and totally degraded polities where they steal elections all the time. Now we...
Yeah. Hey, Michael, who's responsible for creating banana republics again? Oh, that's right, the United States. We did the banana republic creations. We did that. American citizens went and like toppled Latin American countries in order to form business monopolies.
Say that about our own country. What does that say about us? So, after 5 days of counting all those extra ballots being dropped in by helicopters, Karen Bass has about the same amount. Her total's gone down a little bit. She's at 34.7%. And Nydia Raman, the socialist, overtakes Spencer Pratt. She's got 27.1% of the vote. And Spencer Pratt has 26.7% of the vote. About 3,000 votes. Just a nice, convenient 3,000 votes separate the two of them.
Just so nice and convenient. Just a nice, convenient 3,000 votes. And that won't change at all. Except when I check it right now, and now she's up by 12,000 some votes. 11,000 of 800. 11,700. I'm really bad at math. I'm not going to finish this equation. But like 11,000 some votes. Just a nice round 11,700 some votes.
Stealing elections is nothing new, especially to the Democrats. Maybe the most infamous example of this, and consequential example of this, in
the 2000 election with Bush v. Gore in Florida. Yeah, absolutely.
Recent history was the 1948 Senate election in Texas, where
sure, I guess.
Where LBJ stole the election. He stuffed a ballot box full of ballots, put him just over the edge. This was litigated all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court didn't want to interfere, so they said, well, we don't really have jurisdiction here. They just kind of punted on the question. Robert Caro, the definitive biographer of LBJ, basically proves that LBJ stole that election, but plenty of other people have proven it too. But it was too late. But Robert Caro is writing his books in like 1991.
I don't know. I feel like this is more of the go-to for what we talk about when we talk about stolen elections. The Florida vote was ultimately settled in Bush's favor by a margin of 537 votes out of 5.9 million votes. When the U.S. Supreme Court in Bush v. Gore stopped a recount that had been initiated upon a ruling by the Florida Supreme Court, because the fucking SCOTUS stepped in and said, no, you can't recount that, even though on a state level you absolutely can.
LBJ is totally no less drag name.
That's a really fucking good one. That's a really good drag name though, Sake Tanuki. Hanging Chad is also a really good drag name.
LBJ wins the election in 1948, then becomes vice president. Then Kennedy is killed, becomes president.
For a drag king, obviously.
He's one of the most destructive presidents we've ever had. He's out of office and dead by the time that we can definitively prove it. We know for a fact that election was stolen. Plenty of elections have been stolen in America. So the question is, did the Democrats steal this election too? We don't know for certain. Trump got into this very testy interview with Kristen Welker from NBC. Very testy interview recently.
Clarence T. Probably
anime sidekick gal. Goddamn.
Says, look, they're stealing the election in California. Just, do you have proof? Do you have proof? Where's your proof? This is the most secure election in the history of the world. It's the most secure election since the 2020 election when we did all the same stuff. Okay. No, I don't have proof. I don't have proof that they've stolen the election.
I love the arguments, by the way, that like, oh, well, the 2020 election was stolen, but not the 2024 election. Like, the deep state is so powerful, but only after Donald Trump has been in office. Like, the Democrats have like rigged the election in 2020 and then just didn't in 2024. And now they're doing it again and have such a level of control that they can do it in LA for a municipal election, but they couldn't do it in 2024 for the presidential election. Okay. All right.
In LA. But you know what I do know? I know that they have widespread mail-in voting, which is intrinsically less secure than in-person voting. I know that they don't have voter ID, which means that the election is much less secure than it needs to be. I know that they have ballot harvesting, where activists can just go around to all sorts of communities, retirement homes, take somebody's hand, fill out the ballot, and they can then take possession of that ballot and bring it in on behalf of the voter.
Oh no. Volunteers who are held accountable and overseen by others for the city or state, going and helping people with like vision disabilities to vote or mobility disabilities to vote. The horror. Oh no! And then they'll take the ballot and deliver them to ballot boxes. Ooh! I know it's been said before, but this shit, staring straight into the camera and just lying knowingly and openly, should be illegal. Genuinely, there should be some kind of control on it, right? I think that there is maybe a better argument for like members of Congress, like elected officials, staring into the camera and just knowingly lying. That I'm 100% on board with. The lies from this man are insane.
I know that LA has ballot drop boxes all over the city.
Oh no, not ballot drop boxes. Why, if you drop them down there, you're going to have to bend over.
Not very secure ballot drop boxes where you can just dump in whatever you want.
You can just dump in whatever you want.
I'm going to look like a podling who's been fully drained.
I know that there are shenanigans in LA. I remember the 2016 election. I haven't told this anecdote in a minute. I go to vote. I'm one of the only Republicans in LA. That's not true. There are a lot of Republicans in LA. Just there are a lot more Democrats than there are Republicans. But I think there might be more Republicans in LA County than just about any other county in the country, just because of how big it is. Anyway, I go to vote in the primary in 2016. All good. Then when I go to vote in the general election, they seem to have lost my voter information. I had to file a provisional ballot. I said, that's pretty weird. I voted just fine in the primary. And you know that I'm a Republican. That's weird that I can't vote formally in the general. I speak to another Republican friend of mine, and he's in a different precinct, all different, same thing. He voted just fine in the primary, but they didn't have his voter information for the general. He had to file a provisional ballot. And he's a lawyer, so he actually fought that all the way to the end. And they said, it was a clerical error. How can we not conclude that there's cheating in LA?
Well, probably because there's not evidence of cheating in LA. People have been using like ballot drop boxes in elections and like for literally in a sense that predates the American Republic. I don't know what to tell you. If you have the problem that Republicans have with voting is that it's democratic. Their problem isn't with the security of the election. They just don't want elections. We have had systems to like collect votes by mail in America for like 150 years. We have, like, as a species, had secret ballots since like the Roman Republic. And those votes would be collected and then tabulated.
I guess that's my question. I don't have proof that they stole the LA election. And I know.
Oh, okay. You don't have proof that they stole the election, but how could we not arrive at the conclusion that they did when you have proof? You need the proof to come to the conclusion. I feel like I'm on crazy pills. Otherwise, again, it's just vibes-based politics. And when you have vibes-based politics, then the cult of personality can just dictate whatever the reality is that you live in. Which is why Republicans are becoming increasingly isolated from basically the entirety of the rest of the country. Because they're following Donald Trump off into his fucking la-la land. Into like his senile, delusional world where everything is just AI bullshit. And like everyone's getting a medbed card. Everyone's getting a medbed card. Look, it's Donald Trump as Jesus Christ.
Never thought Spencer Pratt was going to win. So I'm not.
Wait, medbeds? Yeah, like this was, I talked about this last year.
Numb to the odd and misinforming and strange stuff that politicians these days post on social media, including our president. But last night at 10:19 p.m. Eastern, President Trump posted this.
Breaking now. President Donald J. Trump has announced a historic new healthcare system, the launch of America's first medbed hospitals and a national medbed card for every citizen.
Every American will soon receive their own medbed card. With it, you'll have guaranteed access to our new hospitals led by the top doctors in the nation.
I'm interrupting just a second. Apologies, to make sure you understand that none of this report is real. It is AI doing a fake Lara Trump Fox report. None of this is real. Medbeds are not real. I'll tell you more about them in a second, but I just wanted to make sure you got that. Anyway, here's the rest of this bogus news report that President Trump shared for some reason.
Equipped with the most advanced technology in the world. These facilities are safe, modern, and designed to restore every citizen to full health and strength.
Again, this is not a real video.
Yeah, we don't need Jake Tapper's take on this. But basically, yeah, Donald Trump is off in his own fucking delusional world where he's seeing AI videos and thinking they're real. He's seeing an AI video of himself promising miraculous disease-curing beds, and everyone in America is going to get them, and then posting it without any additional comments on his official social media accounts as President of the United States. And, like, he doesn't know that it's fake, guys. He just lives in a delusional
His entire
world.
worldview is based on no proof, only subservience to a God that we know is there because the book and the priests told me it was true. It's the cult mentality applied to democracy.
I mean, I would argue it's the cult mentality applied to fascism, because I don't think Michael Knowles believes in democracy. None of his rhetoric actually shows any kind of preference for democracy or appreciation for democracy. You know?
Jack, you forget, a lot of Repubs are religious. Evidence for their belief isn't required for certainty.
I mean, I think that, like, some religious people are still, like, rational. You know, like, barring some of their religious belief, like, they're still rational. And, like, Donald Trump is peddling, like, medbed conspiracy bullshit. Like, this, remember I was talking earlier about the conspiracy singularity, everything revolves around that? Medbeds are one of those. Medbeds are a conspiracy theory that the government has always had medbeds, which are hyper-advanced medical beds that can restore you to perfect health and restore your youth, right? And, like, that's not a thing. But he very clearly wanted it to be a thing.
I'm not utopian here. I'm not idealistic. But how can you ask us to conclude that there was not cheating when you have...
Because you don't have evidence of it.
Changed every single rule just about available to you.
Citation needed.
To increase the likelihood of cheating. And you're not concerned about that. And you're not concerned.
Which rules have been changed? Because Michael Knowles hasn't listed any rule changes yet. Like, when he's talking about, like, people going around and, like, helping the elderly, like, fill out ballots and then collecting them and bringing them to a vote drop box, that's not a change. That's been around for quite some time.
Concerned about the optics, and you're going to double down on that. And you're going to take 5 days to count the ballots in an election like we're some banana republic in Latin America.
It takes longer to count votes when you are making sure that the vote tally is correct. Like, what's crazy to me is Michael Knowles is making the argument here, like, oh, it takes longer to count votes in a banana republic. It doesn't. It takes less time. It takes less time because they just say, like, oh, look at that. The great leader won with 95% support again. Just one support less than last time. Like, that's it. They don't need to have a real vote count so they can put it out the same day.
How can we not conclude that there is cheating? At the very least, Democrats who are so concerned about trust in our sacred institutions of democracy, the very fact that so many voters believe justifiably that there might be cheating because you've changed all the rules to increase the likelihood of cheating, surely that, the very perception should impel Democrats to change the rules so...
Oh my God, this is actually an incredible argument. Michael Knowles is now saying that because Democrats exist in a world where Republicans have poured hundreds of millions of dollars into fear-mongering about voter integrity, or voting integrity, rather, that Democrats should change the law because Republicans have fear-mongered themselves into a fervor. We have no evidence that the election was rigged, but Republicans really think that it was rigged, so you should probably change the rules to make them happy. That's not a good argument.
Of course, it's harder to count votes in a banana republic. People are shopping there. This is why you don't try on clothes in a polling booth.
Very true, Sake Tanuki. Oh, God. Also, fun fact, Banana Republic, the store, started as a safari clothing store. A chain of stores meant to sell clothing and an aesthetic reminiscent of going on safari. And that really does make the name of the store, Banana Republic, even more gross. When you realize it was originally themed after essentially tourism of countries that had been overthrown by the United States. Oh, I hate that. Yeah, pith helmets and cargo shorts. Shit. Yeah. Here is an example of one of their early ads. Just so you know that I'm not, making that shit up. Literally, Banana Republic, travel and safari clothing. Good stuff.
We all have trust in our institutions, right? No, they have no interest in doing that whatsoever. No reasonable person can conclude that there's not cheating going on in LA. That's the problem. And so long as the party in charge, which is now formally being run by an actual communist, Karen Bass was a formal member of a communist organization. So long as that party doesn't care at all about improving the perception and the trust in our institutions.
But the thing is, right? He's alleging, oh, the election was fraudulent. It is the Democrats' job to make me, Michael Knowles, somebody who is paid to be wrong in order to shape public opinion in a way that is beneficial to the wealthiest people on earth. It is beholden on Democrats to appease me and my backers. The wealthiest people to ever exist. And he is the one creating the problem, along with all of his other Republican friends. They are the ones creating the perception that there is something to fix in our elections. There's not. And we know that, by the way.
We in the GOP believe the water below this cliff is quite deep and safe, so you as Democrats should go jump.
Exactly, Paladin. Yeah. No. Don't look at the water before you jump. Just close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Shh. Let's take a quick look here. Yeah. Here's from 2018. Report, Trump Commission did not find widespread voter fraud. This is from 2018, during his first presidency. Donald Trump tried to prove voter fraud. Extensive voter fraud. And he put Chris Kobach in charge of that. Chris Kobach from Kansas was one of the leading voices for voter integrity changes in the country, because he, like many Republicans, believed that our elections were compromised, that they were fraudulent. And he believed that there were millions upon millions upon millions of votes to that effect. And when Donald Trump came into power, Trump empowered Chris Kobach to look into that, right? Gave him an entire commission, gave him years to root out fraud and corruption. And the result was nothing. In a letter to Vice President Mike Pence and Kansas Secretary of State Chris Kobach, who are both Republicans and led the commission, Maine Secretary of State Matthew Dunlap said the documents show there was a preordained outcome, and the drafts of a commission report included a section on evidence of voter fraud that was glaringly empty. Again, much like Michael Knowles, all Chris Kobach had was vibes. That's it. That's all Republicans have ever had. And they have the vibes are bad feeling because they watch Republican media that is paid to fearmonger about election integrity. Republican President Donald Trump convened the commission to investigate the 2016 presidential election after making unsubstantiated claims that between 3 million and 5 million ballots were illegally cast. Critics, including Dunlap, rejected his claims of widespread voter fraud. The Trump administration last month complied with a court order to turn over documents from the Voting Integrity Commission to Dunlap. The commission met just twice and has not issued a report. Dunlap's findings received immediate pushback on Friday from Kobach, who acted as vice chair of the commission while Pence served as chair. For some people, no matter how many cases of voter fraud you show them, there will never be enough for them to admit that there's a problem. Kobach said there had been more than 1,000 convictions for voter fraud since 2000, and the commission presented 8,400 instances of double voting in the 2016 election in 20 states. Had the commission done the same analysis of all 50 states, the number would have been exponentially higher, Kobach said. That's still nowhere close to 3 to 5 million fraudulent votes. You found 8,400 instances across 20 states. At most, we're talking like 20,000 votes, maybe. That's even assuming he's telling the truth, which is extraordinarily charitable. In response, Dunlap said those figures were never brought before the commission and that Kobach hasn't presented any evidence for his claims of double voting. He said the commission was presented with a report claiming over 1,000 convictions for various forms of voter misconduct since 1948. Not since the year 2000, since 1948. So the actual evidence that was presented as a result of this commission is 1,000 cases of voter fraud across, 70 years. So, all that being said, folks, I hope it's very blaringly obvious how full of shit people like Michael Knowles and the Republican Party are. But that brings us to part 2 of what we're talking about. That's right. All of that was part 1. All of that first part, that was part 1. Because we got to go into the second part of this, which is Republicans are taking those vibes and trying to weaponize them in meaningful ways that harm your ability to vote. In particular, I think we all need to be paying attention to different state-level initiatives from Republicans. For example, this piece was published May 28th. All right, West Virginia Watch. States could purge voter rolls close to elections if Supreme Court takes Trump's side in Arizona case. Right? The U.S. Department of Justice asked the Supreme Court on Tuesday to wade into a legal fight between the RNC, Republican National Committee, and a host of Democratic and voting rights groups over a series of voting restrictions in Arizona. If the court takes the case, it could lead to a significant decision granting states greater leeway to purge alleged non-citizen voters close to elections and mandate that voters prove their citizenship, a key aim of the Save America Act. So, effectively, what this does is it says, hey, we are just going to go in and on a state-by-state level, we are going to say a week before the election, 2 weeks before the election, purge the voter rolls now. We think anyone with a Hispanic-sounding name or a foreign-sounding name is a non-citizen voter. They get removed from the voter rolls, which means those people then need to re-register to vote. It's effectively a way to impose a barrier between those people and voting. And what we know when it comes, like when folks in the organizing biz, what you know is every step you place between somebody and an action that they might want to take, the less likely it is that they take that action. So if somebody needs to get an ID, they're less likely to vote. If somebody needs to re-register to vote, they're less likely to vote. If somebody doesn't realize that they need to re-register to vote, they might not even be able to vote when they actually get to the ballot box. Or they might accidentally vote illegally. This is actually a policy that increases the likelihood of illegal voting. yet doesn't talk about the staggering amount of fraudulent votes from people without citizenship. Absolutely arslerd. There is no evidence that non-citizens vote. So like that's the thing. I'm not talking about that because the evidence doesn't exist. Donald Trump has had the opportunity across 2 administrations to prove voter fraud, and every single time he has failed. Every single time. Anytime he has put together his own commission, helmed by his own guys, he has failed to prove voter fraud. This isn't like even Democrats are standing in his way and withholding information. Like, no, he, as president of the United States, has put together commissions dedicated solely to proving voter fraud, and they've been unable to find the millions of undocumented votes that happen. And the thing is, and if you are still here, and I hope you are, Republicans, he's lying to you. I hope people realize that. Like, it's not that our elections are unsafe, it's that he's lying to you. Now, what else is happening? Because that's not the only thing going on. We're all going to have to keep a close eye on the voter rolls and how that Arizona case goes. However, here's another bad piece of voting news. Trump order limiting voting by mail will stand for now, federal judge rules, according to the Idaho Capital Sun. Executive order directs Postmaster General, who leads the Postal Service, to propose rule that would block states from sending ballots through the mail except to voters on lists provided by the state. So again, they're going to have lists of approved voters. That's what that translates to. That seems bad. Yeah, I mean, these are all attempts to undermine democracy, to say folks can't vote. Stop voting. The decision by D.C. District Court Judge Carl Nichols, a Trump appointee, represents a setback for Democratic groups, lawmakers, and other groups, including the NAACP, who have sued to stop the order ahead of the midterm elections in November. The March 31st order faces at least 5 lawsuits. The executive order directs the Postmaster General, who leads the Postal Service, to propose a rule that would block states from sending ballots through the mail system except to voters on lists provided by the state to the Postal Service. Under the order, the proposed rule is due this week. Now, the point being here, yeah, this is now open for comment, and Sweet Blasphemy here is ahead of the game, actually. This is actually open for public comment, and I highly encourage you all to go leave a comment on this in order to try and protect mail-in ballots, right? Because a lot of people need them in order to vote because they don't have the mobility that they need. They don't have the ability to be there on election day for a whole host of reasons. People be busy, okay? They got shit going on, all right? I put the link in all of the chats. Go check it out. Yes, comments must be received on or before July 2nd. So that's one thing you can do. I'm giving you at least one action point here. I have to come back around, right? I have to come back around. This is entirely based upon conservative fear-mongering. The MAGA movement, the GOP, whatever you want to call it these days, Michael Knowles is saying Democrats need to kowtow to the public opinion. But the public opinion is being shaped by MAGA right now.
Holy asterisk, this is evil.
It is evil. It is indeed evil. And I think this might take the cake for evil things. Aliens declassified. This is whitehouse.gov website, by the way. This is real. This is from the White House. They walk among us. For 60 years, the U.S. government has kept a closely guarded secret. Aliens have been walking among us, living in our neighborhoods, and interacting with us in our daily lives. They've shopped in the same stores, attended the same classes as our children, and lived seemingly normal human existences. With one exception, they do not belong here. Millions arrived under the cover of darkness and embedded themselves directly into our society. Countless presidents, congressmen, and senior officials knew exactly what was happening. Instead of protecting American citizens, they chose to cover it up and even accelerate the invasion. Until one man finally had the courage to tell the truth. Bold, unapologetic, unafraid. President Trump was the first to call out the real danger aliens pose to every American family, every community, and the future of our nation. The truth is no longer out there. It's right here, right now. This is gross. It's very gross. It's genuinely just gutter racism. But it's gutter racism that fearmongers about election integrity, right? Alien arrest map, live. Wow. Like, if you've witnessed an alien abduction, do not be alarmed. The alien is in good hands. We will take care of it and return it safely to its place of origin. They weren't little green men. These aliens are millions of illegals who invaded our country under the cover of darkness. President Trump told the truth. The cover-up is over. Secure the border. Deport them all. What cover-up? You know, if the truth is here, you've released all the information. What cover-up? Yeah, like the dehumanization, the racism, the fear-mongering. When Republicans and the GOP, MAGA, whatever you want to call it, when they talk about, well, it just seems like elections are fraudulent now. This is what they mean. It's because they've been stewing in this shit for like 25 years. This is on a White House official site. Yeah, it's whitehouse.gov/aliens. If they don't check ID, why would they bother checking a signature? They check against you in the system, ding dong. That's why you register to vote. Whereas yours saying that doesn't happen, it's not incumbent upon me to prove that voter fraud doesn't happen. It's incumbent upon the people alleging millions of undocumented voters voting to prove that it happened. And the more that they say that this happened, the more evidence there should be of it. And yet, despite 12 years of Donald Trump alleging that this is the case, that millions of undocumented immigrants are voting in our elections, despite him putting together commission after commission to specifically investigate it, we have no concrete information about it. So either it's all just covered up so well that even Donald Trump can't get to the truth of it, or, I'm just spitballing here, he might be a liar. That isn't what is alleged. It is what is alleged. Donald Trump literally put together a commission after he was elected the first time to investigate the 3 to 5 million illegal votes from undocumented immigrants. And they found 1,000 cases of voter fraud since 1948, which is, I don't know how to break this to you, a lot less than 3 to 5 million. And it's not even saying that those people were undocumented voters, just saying some form of like discrepancy with their vote. Which means that the actual number of undocumented people voting in this country is ridiculously low on a year-to-year basis. Yeah, the Heritage Foundation was tracking this for a while. You know, the think tank behind Project 2025, they found only 68 undocumented people voting in elections over the past half a century. You can ask Elon, baby mama. Elon has the exact numbers of the presidential election 4 months before the election for president. No, he didn't. Elon Musk is also a fucking liar. Like, I don't know what to tell you. When did Trump make the claim 3 to 5 million illegal immigrants voted? Here. Honestly, the fact that I have to Google shit for you is demeaning to me, so I'm only going to do it this one time. Here's from January 23rd, 2017. AP report, Trump advances false claim that 3 to 5 million voted illegally. Donald Trump asserted in a private meeting with congressional leaders Monday night that he would have won the popular vote in the 2016 election if 3 to 5 million immigrants living in the country illegally hadn't voted. Trump made the debunked claim without offering any evidence at a White House meeting with Democratic and Republican leaders, according to a Democratic aide familiar with the exchange who spoke on condition of anonymity. House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy alluded to it, telling reporters that Trump and the lawmakers talked about the different Electoral College popular vote tallies. Asked if anything surprised her about the meeting, House Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi said, "I won't even get into that. There's been no evidence of it. Trump has made the unverified claims before, tweeting in late November that he would have won the popular vote if you deduct the millions of people who voted illegally. He also alleged at the time that there had been a serious voter fraud in California, New Hampshire, and Virginia, and complained that the media wasn't covering it." And since then, he has continued to make similar claims for every single
Haven't
fucking
caught the
election.
stream in a hot minute. New hair slaps with this outfit.
Thanks, Punk Monk. Appreciated. Luckily, folks, there are people who are doing things to help make voting easier. Okay? Out of literal billions of votes over the past 70 years, only 1,000 cases of fuckery. Damn, that's shockingly low. Yeah, it's ridiculously low rates of voter fraud. So, I found this interesting. Salt Lake Tribune, Utah postal workers are fed up with the tax on mail-in ballots. Here's how they're pushing back. American Postal Workers Union is airing a TV ad in Utah declaring America needs vote by mail. Is there a link to the actual ad? Hell yeah.
Call. I want to vote, but I work long shifts, so I vote by mail.
I want to vote, but I work sunup to sundown.
I vote by mail because my job is in the air.
My family needs me.
I'm usually on call.
It's hard for me to get there.
I'm stationed far from home.
I'm away at school.
We trust voting by mail.
It gives us time to decide.
I vote by mail because I know my vote will count.
Vote by mail.
Keep it. Protect it.
Expand it.
The dastardly postal workers, of course! They're behind all of the fraud. I know it. I just feel it in my bones. A certain vibe, I think. One of those ladies smiled at me funny, and I think she might be one of those fraudulent voters. It's important. It's important. With Utah having a rich tradition of vote by mail, we couldn't think of a better place than Utah to run this ad. Union leaders emphasize that the campaign is nonpartisan and their union supports any politicians who champion the postal service. Utah's by-mail election system is popular. A poll commissioned by the union concluded 93% of Utahns use the ballots they receive in their mailboxes. Which is, by the way, why Republicans hate mail-in voting. It's because more people get to vote. All of the programs, all of the things pushed for by Republicans aim to shrink the number of people who are eligible to vote. Because when fewer people vote, that benefits Republicans. Someone said he said it. Yeah, someone said he said it. And then he has also publicly alleged millions of votes. Last time I Googled something for you. Here you go. Here's Donald Trump writing, in addition to winning the Electoral College in a landslide, I won the popular vote if you deduct the millions of people who voted illegally. Now, that's him, not attaching any number to it per se, of course, but he is alleging millions of people, millions plural, so minimum 2 million undocumented people voted against him in the 2016 election. That's him alleging that, publicly, etc. It's not my fault that you can't be bothered to Google or fact check. Please use your brain. Honestly, just like retain information, because like Donald Trump constantly alleges voter fraud. It's like his go-to move.
Google debunkers.
Now, also, now that we're kind of rounding out the end of this, I did want to bring this up, that we have one last red mirage that I'm hoping doesn't become a red reality. And that is, of course, the California governor race. Actually, let's see if there's been any update. No update yet. This one is a bit of a nail-biter, right? Tom Steyer is currently 220,000 votes behind Steve Hilton. There are still 17% of the votes left to be counted in this race. So it is still technically feasible for Tom Steyer to pull out a victory over Steve Hilton here for second place. which would be, I think, an incredible accomplishment. And granted, between the last time I looked at it and right now, which I think was about 10% of the vote, Steyer has gained by like 120,000 on Steve Hilton, but 17% left to count is very thin. This could really come down to the wire in California, but like, keep your fingers crossed for Tom Steyer, folks. It's so close, but the decision desk called it for Hilton. Yeah, but like, it's also so close that I'm not going to call it, right? I do think that Tom Steyer could still pull this out. 220,000 is a big hurdle to overcome. Basically, right now, if it continues in the vein it has, I see a dead tie. That's kind of the thing. Like, it's going to come down to a very small handful of votes. Why do these neoliberal Democrats keep winning? What the fuck is wrong with people? Because people know their names. That's really a huge portion of it. People know them. And the devil you know is often safer than the devil you don't in politics. When he alleges fraud, he's pointing to PA. Where are the millions of fraudulent votes in PA? He's not alleging 10,000 there. He says millions. Maybe you need to get your ears or eyes checked. Maybe you need to go take a literacy class to refresh yourself. I don't know what to tell you. I don't claim that. Don't half-ass read. I don't know. Seems like you're half-ass reading when he's talking about millions of people voting illegally for or against him, rather. Well, what he really meant by millions of people was 10,000 people in Pennsylvania. Like, shut the fuck up. Get your head out of your ass. All right. And last but not least here, folks, I do want to highlight another candidate whose primary is coming up on, let's see here, early voting running June 6th through June 12th. So we're right smack in it. The election day is June 16th in Georgia. But folks, Rua Roman, okay? Rua Roman in Georgia. I think she's the real deal.
It's time to end the almost 30-year Republican rule of our state so we can expand access to healthcare, protect our communities from ICE, lower utility costs, and stop Republican efforts to suppress our vote. I'm State Representative Rua Roman, and I am running to become your next state senator for District 7. This is a once-in-a-generation election cycle for our state. Vote for me on June 16th.
Yep, endorsed by AOC, Hank Johnson, Sam Park, Kirkland Garden. Kirkland Garden or Carden? Carden. Cool. Like, she's got a lot of support both from national level progressives as well as local Georgia officials. Like, it's some good shit, right? I, for one, am really, really hoping that we can pull out more progressive victories across the South. It's going to be tight, but I think that right now it's possible to do. All right? She's such a lovely person overall. She absolutely is. Absolutely. So, all that being said, folks, I know that there's a lot to be down about when it comes to elections and like how just constant the attack on voting systems and our voting integrity is. But voting in America is safe. It's safe, it's effective, and we need to protect it against these Republican ghouls. So, folks, join your local Dems, make them more progressive. Join your local DSA, make them more effective. If you need help getting involved with either of those organizations, we got people in our community to help you get involved. Join our Discord, !Discord in any of the chats. Reach out to Dragonfly for help with your local Dems. Reach out to Gamergy for help with your local DSA. Both have years of experience organizing and can help you both get started and also give you advice on how to win over your local branch of your Dems or your DSA and make them not shit. Like, it is a process and it is difficult, but if we all work together, we can do it. Okay? And also, check out Progressive Victory. They can plug you into, especially if you're very isolated, They can plug you into national level races across the country to do door knocking, phone banking, text banking, research, etc. They're doing some good work over there. So check them out if you feel inclined and the other two aren't really your jam. Link to Progressive Victory down below. And also, just do all three if you can. And also, check out ImogeneOlivia.com. Gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes. Also tested with cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. It is comfortable, sexy lingerie. And it's non-tucking. ImogeneOlivia.com. Link down in the description. And I can't remember if I said it or not. Hit the like button, subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments about the red mirage. I look forward to reading them. All right, let's keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is going to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, Bane, and plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack.